right center. That ball is gone into Monument Park.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the 32nd episode of the Monument Park podcast. I'm Cole Weintraub.
And I'm Luke Profacci.
And the Bronx Bombers just keep on rolling. We had an injury bug around 2 weeks ago, but this team has persevered. So many guys have stepped up, and we have run into some teams playing bad baseball. But all we care about is winning games, and we have done just that. Luke Profacci, how's everything going?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of compare this year to last year, and injuries slowed us down a lot, and we were far behind at the trade deadline. Like, the division was pretty much out of reach. We knew we weren't going to get that. And now, even though we had to play on the road at the Trop hurt, we're still like 7 games up going into June, and we have a tough little stretch coming up here. But I think if we get through that, then we should be in the driver's seat for the rest of the year, because we're already a third of the way through and we're just still rolling.
Yeah. And, you know, the last time we spoke, we thought the Blue Jays were kind of falling apart and that they were just going to like kind of fall right out of, you know, the division race. And they really stepped up. Like they really stepped up recently. And they've actually passed the Rays in the standings, which is interesting because I didn't think that was ever going to be a possibility. And, you know, I think Tampa Bay is a superior team. But right now it's looking like the Jays are playing better baseball. They're getting contribution from guys like Santiago Espinal, Alejandro Kirk. Those guys are stepping up. So when you get guys like that, you know, it's not sustainable. But, you know, they still have Vlad, still have Bo.
I think Espinal might actually be like really good.
He might be.
He was hitting 2. He's been hitting 2 a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that they don't need any more good breaks than they've been getting. But it's kind of funny, like you say how much they've been rolling. They've probably gained like 1 game on us tops.
That's
so
what
I really don't even notice it. Like, you could have told me they were playing 500 baseball, and I would have believed it, just because all I look at is the standings, and we just don't drop games. It just hasn't been a problem yet.
It's the same thing with Boston, dude. It really is. Like, Boston's been world beaters the last, you know, 3 weeks. You know, remember that Mariners series where Trevor Story hit all those home runs? Like, the Red Sox really started turning it around there, and like they're still 12 and a half back. And, you know, this year, it really doesn't matter that you're 12 and a half back. If your record says you're good, you're going to make the playoffs. There's 3 wild card. There's 3 division winners.
4 AL East teams.
Yeah, there's going to be 4 AL East teams in the playoffs. That's never going to be.
The White Sox are the only one that could, from the other 2. Like, there's no one in the Central other than the Twins that's, like, remotely competitive other than the Sox. And then
I think the
West,
Guardians are pretty. Like, if the Guardians pitching steps up, I do think, but they're going to need to step up a lot.
Yeah, they'll hang around, but like, I don't see them. I could see if the Red Sox really wanted, they could get it.
Yeah, no, they'll make the deals at the deadline that'll
get them into the playoffs.
To get them in the playoffs, like the Schwarber deal last year, and you know, obviously, like they were playing good baseball last year.
That means we'd play them in the first round.
Oh, that's fun. I actually don't think I like that. I really don't. I know we're better than them.
Wait.
Well, they would be the 6th seed.
Probably. So then,
or unless we get a bye. Luke and I really just don't know the playoff format.
I figured it out.
Luke knows
it. The top 2 division leaders get a bye.
Okay.
And then it's the 3rd division leader plays a 6th seed, and then the 4s and the 5s.
So the Yankees would, if the Yankees finish, say, first, the Yankees would play the winner of the 3-6.
Unless the 3 wins.
Unless the 3 wins, then.
Because then I think we'd probably get the lowest seed.
Can't they pick? Remember in 2020, you could pick your opponent?
I don't want to pick this.
Oh, jeez.
We do this every time. We say,
man.
we
want Boston, right?
Dude, just wait 2 days. You're getting Boston anyway. That was the dumbest. And there's a laundry list of just dumb things. We need we give like our training staff credit. They've turned it around. Matt Blake is a god. We need a new PR department because our guys are stupid. Like, just keep your mouth shut. Please. Like, we can't mess it up again this year. We got to not say something like that.
They just, I mean, they do a little. They interview our guys a little too much to the point where they're just like they're looking for it. Like
Oh yeah, it's the
you hear
Yankee
the
spotlight,
answers
for sure.
you hear the answers, but like, you know, their questions are, ensuing those like they're eliciting those answers. So I don't know. It's just the New York media trying to squeeze out a headline. That's just how it is, Luke. There's no other way of looking at it. It's like that.
At the end of the day, we're looking at a playoffs of the AL East plus the Houston Astros, which
and the Minnesota Twins.
Well, they're just gonna get washed by whoever they play first. So
hopefully. But
no, I want them to win. The Twins.
Yeah. No, yeah. I want to run into the Twins in a second round battle. But the last time we spoke, talked about going into Tampa, had injuries. It wasn't looking up. I can't say I was too confident going into that series because you don't have Stanton, you don't have Donaldson, you don't Hicks scratched. Not that really matters recently, but it is what it is.
In the 9-hole.
Wasn't Gallo out too in Tampa Bay? I'm pretty sure he was. We had a lot of.
He's either out or and in either way, it's a deficit.
Loizaga was down. We had a lot of. We had Andujar coming up. He had Gleyber Torres hitting in the 3 spot. Gleyber Torres thrived in this series. This is where we really started to see Gleyber, turn back. And then you get Andujar hitting cleanup. You have your 2018 kind of nostalgia coming back with Gleyber and Andujar hitting back-to-back in the lineup, and they both were contributing in big parts to, we won the first 2 games of the series. We were getting a lot of contribution from those guys. And, you win the first 2 games of the series, McClanahan and Kluber's coming up, and we have
Cole and Sevy coming up. It's like,
Cole and Sevy. It's like, we're going to get one of them. Right. And we don't. And, you look back on the last episode, you're going to hear us say that we'll take a split. It's just, you'll win the first 2 games of the series. We didn't think we were going to win the first 2 games of the series. So you get to that point, you think you can win one more game. You don't, you lose the next 2. But at the same time, you're injured, you're at the Trop. Those are tough games to win. And you end up, playing 500 ball and nothing really moves. I believe we were up 4.5 in the division on the Rays. And after the series, we were still up 4.5. So
I've seen much more healthy, even, I don't know if better.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen a better team.
No, you have.
Than this one recently. But I'm saying, like, they lose in the Trop. No matter, they're healthy, they're good, they're bad, they're not going to win in the Trop. And so I literally thought there was a good chance we get swept here and the whole season starts pretty much from scratch. It would have been tied. But yeah, I mean, losing the second 2 was kind of scary in the sense that you didn't know how it was going to translate into the following series. Obviously, now hindsight, looking back,
we've picked up games.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter at all. So it's hard to sit here and talk about it in a negative light because we got through that series, got a little bit more healthy. We had Matt Carpenter was hitting 5th off the street, and he's giving us a spark. Like, everything's clicking, but things kind of went as well as you could expect with the scenario that we were in.
Yeah, it was a little discombobulated.
The rotation is unbelievable.
One more thing about the Tampa series before we jump into that awesome bit. But there was that last game in Tampa. You had Severino go, I think, 6 innings. They bring him back out for the 7th. He walks the first 2 guys. And you're down 1 run. And Aaron Boone decides to go to Ron Marinaccio out of the bullpen. And it's like, Marinaccio hasn't gained, maybe he's gained Aaron Boone's trust, but I don't know how he really could have. He hasn't really pitched in some big spots. I remember he pitched in a big spot in an earlier Boston game, but I also remember him giving up 6 runs of the Orioles in an inning. And then Clark Schmidt's available. So they go to Marinaccio, and then they get Clark Schmidt ready after Marinaccio, I believe, walks 2, hits a guy. Now you've fallen behind 3 runs, maybe I think it was 3.
Yeah.
Judge homers in the following inning, which would have tied it. Sevy walked the first 2 guys. Yeah, you could probably expect him to score a run. But I didn't really understand Boone's decision to go to Marinaccio and not Schmidt, especially if Schmidt's available. Maybe he just planned that Schmidt was going to pitch a later inning. The bullpen is banged up, but I really don't like
saw
going
a
Marinaccio
tweet.
in that spot.
I saw a tweet that said that maybe, or it was like speculation that maybe Boone doesn't want to show the Rays like all our cards in one series, which, I mean, it sounds stupid in a 1-run game, but like there's a world where that makes sense.
There is a world, but at the same time, we have guys banged up right now. We don't have Loizaga, we don't have Chapman. We physically can't show them all our cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I mean, it's not like Clark Schmidt's an 8th inning guy.
No, he's not. So it's like
it's just a guy who you know is a pro that's gonna not walk the ballpark. So that was a little frustrating.
You know, I think, you know, it's what, the 6th or 7th inning there. I think Clark Schmidt, I said it on an earlier episode where Clark Schmidt came into that Boston game. We ended up losing. Luke was at the game. And like I was preaching that I think Clark Schmidt is, you know, a starting pitcher on this team. And I think putting him into a 1-run game, 7th inning against Tampa Bay Rays, you can put him in there and stretch him out a little bit. He can give you 2-3 innings.
We've been doing that all year.
We've been doing that. But I would rather that than an inning with Marinaccio and an inning with Clark Schmidt. Because Clark Schmidt was getting ready when Marinaccio was lighting on the fire. So that was a really disappointing loss because we were facing McClanahan that day. And it was one of those games where it's like we got the blow from Torres. Severino had given up, I believe, 2 hits. I think the Rays had 2 hits all day, and they ended up winning the game. And they scored 4 runs. They had 2 hits. Severino his only 2 hits were to 2 home runs. That was a game where it was like, dang, like we really should have had it. And McClanahan's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So I think that's what really made me look back on that game. I guess after that game,
I felt like we stole one earlier though.
I feel like we stole one earlier too, but we did.
Like we had a JMO 8-inning shutty, and it was like that's not supposed to happen either.
I just
I was breathing all right through that. I was like, yeah, we're gonna split. It's all right.
I know. I was breathing all right too. I just don't like having us being in a winning spot against Shane McClanahan and not really pulling through because we made a bad decision on who to go to out of the pen when Marinaccio should not be in any of those games.
Yeah, he shouldn't be on the team either.
No, he shouldn't even be on the Yankees. Better yet, pitching in 5-run deficits.
It's all right. We'll see Shane again, and I'm looking forward to it when we have all our righties back. We'll be looking good. I have a good feeling about that matchup.
So, yeah, and as Luke just alluded to, the starting pitching on this Yankee team is better than I've ever seen from a Yankee team. 1 through 5.
Jameson Taillon is like an ace now for some reason.
Yeah, he's pitching like it. He's pitching like pre Tommy John JMO, but like even better because I think that pre Tommy John JMO,
when he was picked between Harper and Machado.
Like he's playing up to his draft pick, and I feel like that pre Tommy John JMO hadn't gone through some like really he hadn't endured failure. Like what he went through last year, he had to completely reconstruct himself. He added a few more pitches. He's added to his repertoire. That JMO is different. I don't think teams really knew how to figure him out. Figure him out then. But this JMO is different because he knows how to get batters out. He can go to any of his pitches, and he's been really successful. I love seeing him do so well because, I was thinking about JMO as a guy, like maybe 5th starter, like probably won't re-sign him at the end of the year to a guy where it's like, I want him on the mound pitching every 5th day. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him go the 6 innings and just get it to the bullpen with how deep it is. I want JMO on this team from now on. And he's become, I cry about who we gave up, Roenzi, Contreras, and,
we have bigger trades to deal with.
We have bigger trades to deal with. And like, that trade actually looks pretty good right now. Contreras
especially compared to the other trades we've made recently.
Exactly. So, I mean, Jameson Taillon, he's just been great. We'll talk about him a little more in the episode, a little bit further on in the episode. But, I know we haven't gone through all the series, but I just want to say this, and this came from Yes Network Instagram today. The Yanks pitching staff currently leads the American League in wins 39, ERA 2.74, 498 strikeouts, 130 walks, an opponent's batting average of 210, a strikeout to walk ratio at 3.83, a whip of 104, and shutouts at 8. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy. And I feel like every Yankee team from the start that I started religiously watching every game, 2009, there hasn't been a rotation where it was like bam, 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 bam.
It stopped at 3 in 09, but Pettit was a weirdo. So, or not Pettit, Burnett, I mean.
Yeah.
So it's the deepest line or rotation I think I've ever seen.
And with how good they have been pitching, just logically, as you've watched baseball almost your entire life, or as much as you can remember, this isn't sustainable. This isn't, right? Like, it might not get that much worse, but that it's not going to be at the level of this. Like Nestor Cortez throwing at a 1.5 ERA, like, as much as you want to believe that's going to happen, it's not going to be that easy. Severino pitching, at a sub 3, like I've seen him like vulnerable throughout the season. Taillon, 2.3 ERA. I see him more in the low 3s this year. And then Garrett Cole, like, I guess where he is right now is kind of where you expect. But I think with the offense, the offense has been pretty not successful. Like the Yankees offense hasn't been great. And not a lot of people are talking about it because we're winning.
This. I think if we scored over 5 runs in every game, we would have like 2 losses.
Yeah. No, that's true.
I think that's like a real thing that we would have 2 losses in June if we just scored 5 runs a game.
And,
which, like,
yeah,
hitting's been down a little bit this year. Well, a lot compared to juice balls, but even from like 2018, it's like comparable. But like when you say that out loud, it's like, dog, just wake up a little bit, and it'll balance out, and we'll just keep rolling. We also have 2/3 empty spots in our lineup with 0 production.
And that's like, where I was getting. That's where I was getting at. Like
0.
You have 0. Nothing. You have 0 production right now, and with how great the starting pitching has been, the starting pitching can drop to good. But if you grab some reinforcements that we will talk about a little further on in the episode, if you grab some reinforcements, like Luke said, it's gonna balance out. You're gonna win. Maybe not as many baseball games because pitching really wins, but you're going to win a lot of baseball games, and the Yankees' success is going to be pretty, stagnant throughout the season, and it's going to be fun to watch. And the thing about that is, like, if you add these reinforcements and the pitching is good, that's how you win in the postseason. The pitching has to be good, and your offense can't fall asleep. And I think, that's something the Yankees haven't had in the postseason. Their offense has gone to sleep. They haven't gotten the pitching performances that they've necessarily wanted at all. They were rolling with Davey Garcia and J Happ in the last, playoff series that we actually saw them play. It's a completely different situation this year. I think with how good the rotation is, 1 through 5, you can think, 3-4 man rotation in the postseason. You move one guy to the bullpen. That's one less guy you got to get at the deadline. Like if you decide, all right, Jameson Taillon, or actually more like Luis Severino, because we've seen him pitch out of the bullpen before. Maybe that's a guy that you put in the bullpen, and that's a reinforcement in itself because, in the playoffs, you're going 3-4 guys. Now think about Severino in the bullpen, giving you it his all for 1 to 2 innings, maybe even more, because he's been stretched out all year. And, you got to think about the innings. I think Nestor Cortez, he's never pitched, I don't think, as many innings as he's already gone this season. It's crazy to think about that. There's going to be
we could do a little Nestor Sevy stack in the playoffs. I think that could be like they always try to get cute with something, and I think it could be like a 3 Nestor 4 Sevy. I mean, unless Nestor just keeps going, like
if Nestor keeps going like this, I think with Nestor is like they have to really, and maybe his his hopeful start in the All-Star game is where we kind of see him, but after that. I think the Yankees have to be really careful with what they do with Nestor because
skip a couple starts,
skip a couple starts, maybe, put him together with Severino. I actually like that idea during the regular season, but the thing with Cortez is like, and we've seen it, you don't want to show Nestor Cortez off to everybody. You really don't. I think he's good enough to, like figure it out. But like, I think he's best when it's the unknown. And I think that's why he's been so successful, because he steps in there against, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, like two of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. And they look like they've never swung a bat in their life before. So I think kind of hiding Nestor, but to the point where it's like he's still pitching innings, maybe just as much he was pitching in 2019, where he was, going 3-4 innings. I think and then you can kind of ride him in the postseason, and that'll keep his innings kind of.
We need a phantom injury. We need to get the next 6 weeks are huge, because if we keep this gap for the next 6 weeks, we can afford to do that, where it's like maybe a little injury, little Clark start on like a Sunday against Kansas City where literally the game doesn't matter. And just stuff like that to kind of line it up how you want. I'm just thinking, like, obviously it's early with this guy. Like, Matt Carpenter's probably going to be on the team, like, through, just because of his bat. So it has me really thinking, if we trade for an outfielder, say, we'll get into that. Do you want to weigh on that?
I just want to tell you another cool stat. You ready?
I like stats, yeah.
The Yankees are 31-0 when they lead in the 7th inning. There you go.
Is that just all Clay Holmes?
That's pretty much all Clay Holmes.
And like that, other than that, it's that Mike King Chapman disaster in like the first week
against the Blue Jays where he bailed us. No,
Clay Holmes man, that's another one where
it's like you can keep talking about how good the starting pitching is, but like what I have loved about the starting pitching is we lost two of our big bullpen guys a couple weeks ago. And, I'm thinking here like, oh man, like Wandy's going to have to pitch serious innings. Litke's going to have to pitch it. We're going to see Miguel Castro in big spots. I don't want that. But with how good the starting pitching is, Clay Holmes can pitch an inning like back-to-back days. And then like you give the ball to Mike King. And then, you have Miguel Castro and Wandy come in a game. It has saved us a ton because it's just so lengthy. And before Montgomery's last start against, Detroit, and we'll keep talking about it. But Nestor, 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs against the Angels. Tyone, 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 run against the Angels. Garrett Cole, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs against the Tigers. Severino, 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs. You had JMO with a no-hitter in the eighth inning, and Sevy in the 7th. Perfect
lately
games.
It hasn't even mattered who we bring in the bullpen. We get to the 7th and the game's over.
And I get it. We're playing the Angels at their worst. And I know the Tigers have 6 guys in their lineup who can't sniff the Mendoza line, but I really don't care, because it's like we needed to win these games and we're hurt. So these guys are really stepping up. Now to a guy where it's like, holy mackerel, like, did we just find something? And, Matt Carpenter. I mean, Luke, guy's been legit.
When we're talking about all these holes that we have in our lineup, he's not going to like fill it, but
he's a tough out.
Yeah. Like that's something where we go get an outfielder and get one of Hicks and Gallo this is not a thing anymore. It's not going to be a thing. Hopefully, ideally, one of them's our 4th outfielder.
Hicks.
And then you think about it, and it's like that's 2 of the holes right there. You plug them with a guy we
just
trade
getting
for.
rid of one is a hole gone.
Joey Gallo is the worst.
I mean, this is the whole
like Aaron Hicks has made me want to blow my head off, and he's hitting like 40 points better than Joey Gallo.
And his on-base percentage is better than, most of the guys in our lineup. It's crazy to think about. I don't
understand how that.
I don't either.
I don't understand how that computes, but
I don't either.
We're in a position where we can realistically make some significant upgrades, partly just because getting guys off our team and just keep like hoping DJ gets hot. We've been waiting for that. Rizzo's kind of getting it back. Like he's hit a couple home runs. He's been having some timely hits. But I think part of it's just guys getting healthy and playing better. And then you combine that with new assets and we're going to be set, I think, even if the pitching goes a little bit.
Yeah. Part of what I like about Matt Carpenter was hearing the first day he was on the Yankees, and he actually, he didn't even get a hit in his Yankee debut, but he roped a ball into the shift that was caught on a stab, diving play by Harold Ramirez, and he, took a pitch off his elbow and ended up scoring a run. He, in the offseason, and I know I don't want to tie him next to Joey Votto because Joey Votto is putting together the worst season of his career, but he had a kind of similar thing where he, I think, went to a golf instructor and kind of remodeled his swing. And here he is, he started the year in AAA with Texas. In 30 games, he had an OPS just shy of 1,000. Now he's in the big leagues, and I believe he has 5 hits on the Yankees, and 4 of them are home runs, and the other one's a bunt single. With Matt Carpenter, it's like he's a tough out. He knows the zone, and he's played in the World Series. I think he played in the World Series during his, first or second year in the big leagues. So that goes a long way. He's been around. He's seen a lot of National League pitching, which, will help in,
and
October.
A lot of AL pitchers haven't seen him. Great point. He was a lifer on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are one of the more respected organizations in all of baseball. They have that pedigree, that Yankee pedigree, but it's like the Yankees without the rah-rah. That's what I was just going to say.
Exactly.
Just the quiet Yankees, I feel like.
The quiet Yankees, like I said, one of the more respected organizations in all of baseball. Matt Carpenter played, I believe, all his 11 seasons there. So that in itself, he's a guy that steps into the clubhouse and it's like, I like you, I can respect. And he's kind of maybe a father figure to these younger guys who you can go to, maybe
who've never been to the World Series.
Who've never been to the World Series.
Core.
And I get it.
Yeah. There's always a quote that comes out every year, we've been here before. Yeah. When we get to the playoffs, we really haven't.
No.
So it's good to get people that have. That's why I'm such a Rizzo. I like what he brings past just his stat sheet. I like bringing a guy like Carpenter, again, another lefty, and that leads pretty well into another guy we're going to talk about in the outfield in a little bit, where it's we're just kind of building a little mix of young, maybe not as experienced, and then now experienced, just trying to balance the lineup and figure everything out. Because we gave ourselves this cushion, which we haven't had in a couple of years. We have the opportunity to figure things out
and make it right. His swing is so built for Yankee Stadium. I mean, people are like, oh, Joey Gallo, oh, he hit fly balls to Texas. That would have been out at Yankee Stadium. Well, he didn't come to Yankee Stadium and hit those fly balls. I'm sorry to break it to you. He's been one of the worst Yankees that I've ever seen. It's I'm gonna crazy.
Remember him as Jacoby Ellsbury level of terrible.
But the thing is with Jake is you didn't expect him to be bad. You and I both knew he wasn't going to be good. Maybe more me. I had no faith in him. I had faith in Jacoby Ellsbury. Granted, I was 10 or 11 years old, but he's coming off a couple seasons with the Red Sox where he put up fantastic numbers. Joey Gallo never put up fantastic numbers. He may have put up fantastic home run numbers.
His career years would have been a problem with us, and he's falling remarkably short.
He's so far from a career year. He's at his worst.
It's not good.
So it's refreshing to see a guy like Matt Carpenter, who is a lefty bat, who is a guy that has seen a lot of pitching, who is a guy that you might just want up in a big spot. It's kind of it's a different thing than Odor, but I kind of get the same type of role where it's they're not going to play every day, and then they're going to come in and they're going to be they're going to give you everything they've got to, not strike out, or they're going to try to do something big for you because they know what it is to be on a good team. They know what it is to contribute, not as the top dog. Matt Carpenter's always been, not the first option. He's been a second, third option guy. So he knows how to, help contribute to a winning ball club. And you said, Carpenter stepped into the clubhouse and he was like, this is one of the, better clubhouses I've ever been in. And hearing that after his first game was really, really, really refreshing. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of Matt Carpenter, and I'm happy that the Yankees kind of saw, his progression in the offseason, him remodeling his swing and, giving him a shot. And hey, he could have been a Jay Bruce guy that was here for 10 days, but it's looking like, and maybe he has a solidified role. And he's kicked some established guys out the
to
door.
your demise a little bit. Yeah,
Yep.
I was gonna say that's ended Andujar's career as a Yankee pretty much. If we're gonna be totally honest.
To jump into the series against the Angels, we did our thing, destroying Syndergaard in the first game. Nestor did his thing, but the second game of the series, we get rained out, extra off day. We look back on it like right now, it's like we didn't split that doubleheader. We actually won both. So you can look at it like as an off day. It's huge, especially when we saw them lose both games. But, you lead off Matt Carpenter in the second game, and it's like Nestor goes, gets out of the first inning, and Carpenter comes up against Shohei Ohtani, the 2021 most valuable player. And he gets up there, leaning back, doing his thing, mustache. And he works a 13 pitch at bat and cranks one into the right field seats. I think, and my dad said it was like, that was the best at bat. And he hasn't watched, too much baseball this year. He's watched a lot, but not too much. He said that's the best at bat he's seen all year. And like I said, it's just like what he brings to the team. And, Ohtani hung a breaking ball and he looked like, and he porched it. He tried to do his best.
He looked impression. Like a shark sniffing for blood. He saw Shohei on the mound. That guy got nervous. And I mean, he showed him everything he had in the first batter of the game. Left with the home run. The game was over right there.
Pretty much.
That's I don't know if you could start a game off with more momentum than a 13 pitch at bat home run.
And who but WB Mason?
Yeah, these types of games are gonna you're gonna hear this a lot out of me. The August 15th Sunday 1 p.m. start, maybe on Peacock, maybe not, against the Royals, where it's gonna be
11 o'clock start, Luke.
JP Sears pitching. We're gonna have like Hicks batting fifth, and because it doesn't matter if we win or lose. Yeah, perfect. We just have to get to a point where we can run out an absolute disaster, just to get guys rested, get guys like into their new spots. Like we haven't it's gonna make more sense when we talk about our trades.
Yeah.
But there's a way it lines up in my head where we can keep winning while setting ourselves up to be at 100% when they really start to matter.
Yeah. No, and it's weird because I look at the playoff format. You say the top two teams get the bye. And then, obviously that top team, the first place team, the number one team is going to, get the better matchup in the second round. But it's like, in the past, with the old format, it's like best record in the American League, like the division winner, they get home field advantage. You say like we can like punt some games. I feel like we can do a little more punting this year because, you just got to finish in the top two and you're going to finish with a better record than, Minnesota or Chicago.
Once we get the division, once we ice the division, we're going to sit on it.
We're good. We're going to sit on it.
Exactly.
I would like the number one spot just in case we run into the number two team. Because then we'll have home field. But it's like, and then it's just like us against Houston, and Houston's gets to play some pretty, now with Los Angeles, the Anaheim Angels, falling off. You got Angels, you got the Mariners, you got the Rangers and the A's. I mean, they're playing nobody. We're playing a lot of good teams. So, it's going to be a battle to see who gets that top spot. But I think, like you said, you get that padding. And,
I don't know. I think if you get the two, it would just be home field against the Astros. That would really be the only problem, because I think the 3 seed is going to be the worst out of the 6.
Yeah.
Not even kidding. No, so it's like as a 2, you hope the 3 wins and then you get the 3 matchup. But if you get, you need the 1.
You need the 1 because
you need to be at home. You got to be at home.
And you can't beat Houston. You've proven that. So you can't beat Houston in their place. Maybe in the regular season.
George Springer gave us the heebie-jeebies. I'm convinced. I think we can win now. I really do.
They didn't have Yordan Alvarez in that 2017 team, so that freaks me out a little bit.
I think we fared pretty good against him because I don't hate him yet.
You will. So you get into that third game, and second game of the doubleheader. You don't really expect much. Tyone is dealing. He gets the no-hitter or the perfect game. Sorry, longest perfect game to that point since Ching-Ming Wang in 2007. You're starting to see different things when you're seeing a name like Ching-Ming Wang, because that's a long time ago. He just keeps pitching, but we can't score any runs. He's flirting with the perfect game. He gives it up. IKF, who was great defensively.
It was that who was pitching for the Angels? It was that weird guy
Reed
that we're
Detmers.
never gonna see again. Yeah.
Okay. Reed Detmers, who was drafted like 2 years ago, which is crazy. And he pitched pretty well, 4 2/3, no runs. Ball kicks off IKF's glove. It's the ball gets in the left field, and Walsh takes second. And then, Kurt Suzuki, who's known for killing the Yankees when he was younger on Oakland, base hit. Now we're losing. And it's like, it felt like a game you were winning, but you weren't. Couldn't get anything going at the plate, get the bases loaded, 1 out. Joey Gallo comes up, strikes out.
Crazy, man.
And then no sleeve Anthony Rizzo comes up. It's like Goggle Glaber, but no sleeve Rizzo.
He would have reached out in front of the plate and caught the ball with his bare hand and thrown it in the center field if he meant getting that hit. He came up. I was like, this guy looks like a lumberjack. That was big. He's the type of guy, even when he's slumping, like he was probably at the lowest point of his slump in that very moment.
Yep.
Didn't play in the game. They gave him the off for the second game. And even at his worst, he fouled off some pitches and knocked one right back up the box, which is that's how a player's like a legitimate pro, a vet when they're slumping and they can give you that. And it turned him around. I mean, he was so fired up. Everybody was fired up. I see the clip now.
Yeah.
I see the clip like Andujar running home all hyped, and it's like, man, like I wish that was not going the way it was going.
Yeah, I don't know.
He has too many prerequisites, I feel like, for a team. Like he has to be in left field only.
No, but seeing him pump his fist like that, like I don't know, those little, like Matsui doing the little jump where he scores an 0-3 where Posada drops one in, like those highlights, like those are the ones that stick with you. And like we ended up winning the game. Clay Holmes wiggled in and out of trouble. And one quick note before we jump into my guy Miggy, held Trout hitless in the series. I mean, that's crazy. You remember the last time
he forgot how to play baseball?
Do you remember the last time he came to Yankee Stadium and he had like 9 hits against Sonny Gray? Oh man, it was like 2018. It's been so long. Ohtani only had 2 hits. Taylor Ward, who's hitting, I think at the point like 345 with like a 1200 OPS, did nothing. I saw him drop a fly ball. He may have had 1 or 2 hits, did nothing. The Angels are fraudulent. The Angels have lost 11 in a row. They don't know how to get out of their own way. But Miguel Andujar, I mean, he came up and he wasn't hitting 300, but for most of it, he was hitting, in the 280s. I think he had an 0 for at the end, maybe a 1 for 5, and it dropped his average because, he hadn't had as many at bats, but, he was getting in there and he was smoking the baseball. Like he had, a couple foul home runs, a couple lineouts. I believe Manuel Margot made a really nice play on him in the Trop. Like he was really hitting the ball, and you could kind of see him coming around and really starting to see this pitching all of a sudden again. He's a natural hitter. He's a guy that could just step in, and I think he solves a lot of the Yankees' problems just with his bat in the lineup. He's not a hole. You can't argue with the fact that he's a good hitter. He steps in with this padding in the division. I think it's quite stupid of the Yankees not to give him more of a shot. We're up 7.5, 8 games. Bite your finger on the bite your lip on the defense. That's fine. Whatever. Like he showed that he's put in a lot of work defensively. He's not the best out there, but Joey Gallo hasn't been the best out there. So you stick Andujar out there, fine. You're going to play Marwin Gonzalez. How much better is Marwin's defense going to be than Andujar's?
Yeah,
it's just
if we're starting Marwin ever, it's going to be like, man, why is this Marwin right now?
So I just think you say you need a lot of good parts for Andujar to be in there, but if you could just find a way to start Andujar in left field, and maybe this isn't, something this year, and I just don't think he wants to be a Yankee anymore if it's not going to be this year. I really just think he contributes to this team in a big way, and it's really upsetting that they just can't find a spot. Like I wish there was a world where he could just be the DH and just do that every single day. And maybe he doesn't do it every day. Maybe he does it 4 or 5 days a week. And then they give Stanton the DH spot or Donaldson. It just doesn't all play out that way. And it's upsetting because I feel like we added like extra players that we just don't need. Like we're playing Gallo and Hicks because we're paying Gallo and Hicks. We didn't need to go out and get Joey Gallo. I think it opened the door for Miguel Andujar if we don't have Joey Gallo. And, you're going to look at this, trade deadline. You're like, all right, we're going to go need a left-handed corner outfielder. And I agree, we do. It's just like, if Joey Gallo never happened, we might not think about needing that left-handed outfielder. Maybe Andujar does the job. I think he's been a major league guy who has, treated the way he's been treated professional. And I think he has put in a ton of work in left field. I've heard so many people say how much better they think he looks out there than in the past. And obviously that makes sense, but the guy actually put in work. He has earned a spot. Maybe it's not on the Yankees, but he's certainly earned a spot. And that's, you heard Gary Sanchez say that. Who cares what Gary says, but it's true. He deserves a chance to play. And I wish it was on the Yankees. I'll always have that 2018 Miguel Andujar should have won the Rookie of the Year kind of part. I'm going to always have a soft spot for Miguel Andujar because I just know what he's capable of. And it would be upsetting to see him go on another team and become an all-star.
I don't think there's a world this year where we would run him out to left field in a playoff game and feel overly comfortable.
No.
When I think about that, it kind of gives me the sense that it might not have just been meant to be with the Yankees. Yeah. And I think if, God forbid, something happened to Stan, that would be his time. Yeah. But, I mean, he has to DH, especially coming back from injury. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's hard. He's a great bat. It would be perfect if he could just, pinch hit or have a smaller role, but that's not really his game. He needs the volume. He doesn't walk. He just gets up there and swings, which is good for a starter. You need a guy like that.
Yep.
But it doesn't fit. I think getting one of the guys that we're going to talk about, honestly, both of the guys we're going to talk about in the outfield, is just a better fit on this current Yankees. It's just a shame that if he was 24 right now, I think it would be perfect. He was a little ahead of his time, I think.
Yeah.
So
no, it's annoying because you just know that you have someone that fulfills the role you want already on the team, and you wouldn't have to give up anybody to keep him. It's just, I don't know. Well, here's the thing, Luke. You say you wouldn't be comfortable with him in left field. I'm not comfortable with Joey Gallo in left field. I'm not comfortable with Marwin Gonzalez in left field. It's he's better than we already have. No,
those two are in the future, though. That's where I'm thinking.
I understand that.
I'm comparing him to the other options that I'm comparing him to who we're going to have and how our lineup is going to look. And I don't think, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. But we'll see if he gets traded. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. And I don't know what we're going to do with Gallo and Hicks.
I just know that he's capable of hitting 20 home runs and hitting, north of 270. That's just what he is. He showed it in a full season. Some guys will, come up for 80 games and just tear the cover off the ball. But Andujar stepped in when Urshela got hurt. Or sorry, what am I saying? Or Andujar got hurt and Urshela stepped in. Just forget I said that. But Andujar was in the middle of a 100-win Yankee team and consistently just hit the what out of the ball. And I think he's still capable of doing it.
He wouldn't even need to hit the bombs either.
Yeah.
That would be a bonus. We just need hits. He would be the perfect 6 or 7 hitter. Just slide him in and just hit doubles all day long.
Can't have it all,
it's a
man.
shame.
Can't have it all.
It's a shame. It really is. It is a shame. It's why baseball isn't a computer. Can't build it on a computer because if it could be built on the computer, he would be hitting 7th every day.
Thank you, Joey Gallo. Well, we're talking about Joey Gallo. We're talking about Aaron Hicks. Big reason why Andujar gets optioned. And, I don't think we mentioned this, but Andujar requested a trade, and I can't blame him. I want to see him if he can't be on the Yankees, I said this to Luke in like the offseason. I want to see him go and tear it up elsewhere. It's annoying that he was on our team for a little bit and he like played with us and like did his
hit a
thing.
Big double. He started that rally that Rizzo finished.
The Rizzo double. He hit the double. He did what I thought he's capable of doing, and then they just sent him back down.
If he walked, like, they would figure it out. It's the walking. I think it's the walking.
We have a lot of guys in this lineup that can walk. I don't know if it's the walking.
Well, they're the terrible ones, though.
I mean, Glaber has a 287 on base percentage. So, I mean, if it's anybody, it's Glaber. I know. But it's just if it's the walking, Glaber's also an issue too. But Hicks and Gallo. Hicks has got to stay if you're putting him up against Joey Gallo, in my opinion.
Hicks, no questions.
Hicks' on base percentage is up, and what me and Luke have been talking about is like Aaron Hicks against a left-handed pitcher is a different ball player. He's not great, but he'll put up representative numbers against lefties, and he'll get on base. We got Joey Gallo to get on base and hit home runs. He does neither. So I think Aaron Hicks actually does get on base. He'll, he can still, he's not good at it, but he can still play center field. There are very few guys that can
put August 15th on Peacock. He'll be the center fielder.
Sure.
Like for sure. He's the perfect bridge player to the playoffs. He would be valuable in that sense of giving guys days off.
Sure. Giving guys days off, maybe even pinch hitting against, a left-handed pitcher in a spot, any spot, maybe to get a rally going. I don't know, maybe to get a walk, maybe to get on base.
I think he's just gonna, when we trade for a lefty, he'll start against lefties and then get subbed. I think that they may do something like that, but even that's valuable.
The interesting thing about Joey Gallo though is like he's been god awful. He's been brutal. Everybody wants him off the team. I never wanted him on the team. I've never been right about something more. I've never been more right about something in my life. And I like to pride myself on that. Joey Gallo his all or nothing role, the role that he doesn't do on the Yankees, but his all or nothing role can potentially fit on another contender's team. I picked out two teams that he could potentially go to that have injury problems. Maybe need that home run spark. Maybe he'll go elsewhere and start playing like he did when he was in Texas, because maybe the pinstripes are too heavy, as like people like to say.
There's a percentage of guys that just can't do it.
Just can't do it. I think Joey Gallo, I think you just trade him one up. I think it would make the most sense if you're going to trade him one up is to get a relief pitcher, because I think that's a position. It's like one less prospect you got to give up to go get a relief pitcher. Joey Gallo to Atlanta, maybe like AJ Minter. And I know he has like a 1.25 ERA this year, and why the heck would the Braves give him up? But they're running Adam Duvall out there who's hitting under the Mendoza line. They're running Marcell Ozuna, who's OPS. He's got 10 home runs, but he barely has a 680 OPS. You have Eddie Rosario on the IL, who's in right field for them. Acuna, of course. And they're running out Michael Harris in center fielder, who just got called up. I think the Braves are not afraid to add, or all or nothing kind of guy. They added Soler last year. They're not afraid to have too many outfielders, because it proved to be huge for them. And they were in a similar spot in the division last year where they weren't, the top dog in the National League East. They made those trades. They shot up the division. So Atlanta, maybe AJ Minter, lefty.
I don't think we can get like a Major League Baseball player for Joey Gallo.
I think executives still believe
on like an expiring contract. Like, I don't know. It may be some prospects, honestly, like some bad ones.
Then it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense why if the Yankees don't really see a reason, because if you're just going to get two bad prospects, there's no point in trading him. I think
there is, because then he's not playing for you.
Well, here's the thing. I think you're just looking at it through the Yankees scope. I think before he was traded to the Yankees, and he's not the first guy to stink in New York. Like, he's been, monumentally bad. What did
we get back for Sonny Gray? Let's see, because that's going to be a decent gauge.
Well, he's a starting pitcher, Luke.
Well, but he's another failed New York. Like, you're not getting his full value.
I think we got cash considerations. It was supposed to be Shed Long, but it wasn't. We got cash.
We just got cash for Sonny Gray.
Yep. We pretty much traded him for nothing just to get some of the money back. But I think another team that I said was, a potential destination is San Diego. San Diego, another team. Trent Grisham's hitting under the Mendoza line. It's just not good. Jerks and Profar is playing every single day, and sure, his numbers are better than what Joey Gallo's is right now. But I can almost assure you that there are some executives in the big leagues that still thinks that the analytics of Joey Gallo still pan out, and maybe they'll just use the pure fact that he just can't play in New York and just revert back to what he is in Texas. And yeah, that's a very valuable player, but his value right now is not high. So a guy that in San Diego, who's, I believe, on a 1-year deal, I could be wrong, but he's old. Craig Stammen, he's been one of the more reliable relief pitchers in the National League for the last 6 years, maybe 5 or 6 years. I think he's another guy that, it's just one less prospect you got to give up to go get another relief pitcher. It just adds depth somewhere else. Maybe the Yanks eat up all of Gallo's remaining contract to go get Craig Stammen.
Yeah, if we have to do that to get something of value for this year, I would be perfectly fine with that.
Make Joey Gallo be free somewhere else. Make it so that they don't have to pay him anything. Like they can just ditch him.
Pretty
much the Rugi trade's like a perfect example of what I think the Yankees should do with Joey Gallo is like just pay the team the money that he's owed and just do that. But I do think that another team might try to just see if he can add a spark to, and hey, maybe it
that would be the Braves because they're just kind of
sure. But it's
good comparison with last year that we could get something good. Maybe not AJ Minter, but something good.
If you pay his entire contract, it doesn't matter. He could play there for a week, not get a hit. They could DFA him. It wouldn't even matter. I think that's the beauty of just paying the rest of the contract. So Hicks in, Gallo out, 4th outfield spot. Just don't play him every day. Another guy.
I'm only against lefties.
Only against lefties. Very specific, but it is what it is because that's what it is. Jose Trevino. Luke, if I had to ask you today, which we're doing right now,
yep.
Do you think that Jose Trevino, I've been corrected, Trevino can be the everyday catcher for, a World Series contending team?
Yeah, dude, the catching position is so bad, like shockingly terrible.
No, that doesn't. He is what he is, though. I'm not. Yeah, you're not comparing him.
He's above par of the rest. So sure. Yeah,
okay.
He could hit 9th. Now he could hit 9th. Like
now, let me ask you this: do you think you can upgrade on Jose Trevino?
Yeah, it has to be Wilson Contreras. If it's not Wilson Contreras, it's like a waste of time, in my opinion. But I think that's realistic. To be honest,
I do. Trevino's been tearing the cover off the ball. 801 OPS, hitting 282, 4 home runs. His defense, you can't that's the one thing I'll never lose trust in him. League. It's like one of the best in the league, lowest pitcher ERA, the best framer in baseball. If he can hit 250 for the remainder of the year, fine. That's fine. I won't.
That'd be great.
I just don't want, him to go completely silent in the playoffs and then have him be completely silent with 3 other Yankees, because that's my worst nightmare, is just falling asleep. Now I don't want to put too much trust in him when he's been, a backup, not a backup, but he hasn't been a starting catcher on a competitive baseball team in his career.
He can't lose us the World Series.
He won't lose us the World Series, but I think this year for the New York Yankees is, a what to the wall kind of year. It's like this or
we're screwed if we don't win this year.
So I think the Yankees need to, if they see a spot where they can upgrade. And if that means
if they can get Contreras,
if that means going to get a contract year expiring Wilson Contreras, do it. He can be off the team next year, but do it. Now, if it's Contreras, and we've talked about this, Ian Happ and David Robertson, I mean, that's kind of resembles the White Sox trade from 6 years back. You're getting a center fielder that's better than the one you already have. You're getting a catcher who's all-star caliber, hitting third on, an average team in baseball. And David Robertson, who's one of the more reliable guys, and he's been on our team before, and he's got a sub 170 ERA that fills a role as well. I think you got to do it. Maybe you don't give up Peraza. I don't know if you'd have to give up Peraza because Contreras is in a contract year. You've got Robertson, contract year, and Happ, who's got another year of control. You might have to give up Peraza, but I think I would do the deal. If it was Peraza, maybe a top 10 pitching prospect.
It would be
Andujar.
one of those two. It'd be like Waldichuk, Siegler, and then like a single layer. That's my guess. Maybe 2 single layers. That's honestly where I think that deal would lie. I don't think you're going to get all 3. I think 2 out of 3 of those is like
I do too.
Realistic.
I think a Robertson Contreras package is the most realistic if we're going to talk about realism here. But I think Wilson Contreras is a guy that has seen a lot. He's been around, and he's on the National League All-Star team every year. You're like, I see this guy in middle of July, fall, like whatever, July Classic every year. Every single year, he's hitting third on the Cubs. Granted, the Cubs aren't great, but he's hitting third on the Cubs. He is a tough out. He plays solid defense. He can play left field. Not that you're going to trade for him to play left field. You're going to trade for him to play catcher, but he has that as well. I think, there's going to be a lot of teams going after Wilson Contreras. I do. I think the New York Mets are probably the competition for the New York Yankees. I think the Mets.
McCann, really?
McCann is terrible.
He's locked up.
He's locked up, but the Mets have like the 4th or 5th best prospect in baseball, Francisco Alvarez, who's tearing the cover off the ball. Like James McCann's not a part of their future, and Wilson Contreras won't be either. He plays the next 2-3 months, whatever. Yeah. He's out the door. They can send McCann on a trip to the Bahamas, and that would be it. But I think you're going to have to overpay a little bit for Wilson Contreras. I do. I think they're going to want a pitcher. They're going to want
McCann is
potentially what?
I said McCann's just horrible. I just looked it up. He's just,
so bad.
They're not. They can't do that.
So I think adding Contreras, and then you think about a left-handed switch hitting outfielder.
Dude, if we get Wilson Contreras and Andrew Benintendi,
I mean the team. You got,
and I'm like ready to go, like fully sucked in.
Yes,
gonna be heartbroken if we lose. Like if
that's fine, but you need to put yourself in the best situation possible, because if you don't, it's just a failed year, and you're not. Then you got to re-sign Judge, and it's just you don't have as much money to work with. It'll just be bad. Now, if we go get those guys and we don't end up winning the World Series, at least we tried. At least we went out and we completed moves that we wanted. We wanted those moves, and it just didn't work out. I didn't want Joey Gallo. They went and got at Joey Gallo. They got knocked out in the wild card game. I wasn't besides myself.
And he's probably cost us. Him and Hicks have probably cost us like 5 games by themselves.
Well, there's a stat for that.
Called WAR.
But I don't think.
But it's like situational WAR.
Sure. But I think you got to do everything in your power to go out
this year
and win the World Series. And if we don't win, I'll be besides myself. That's fine. But I wasn't besides myself last year, and that says a lot. Like I said, we need to get a left-handed outfielder. We needed it last year. We failed brutally. Organizational failure, Joey Gallo, and we need it again this year. Is Benintendi the guy? Is Ian Happ the guy? Is Brian Reynolds the guy? I think Benintendi is the most realistic option. He's in a contract year on one of the worst teams in baseball. He's appeared hitting 321 with an 800 OPS. Benny is just what we want. He's appeared in 21 postseason games. He's hit 272, just very solid for October numbers. And in the 2018 Fall Classic, he hit 333 and quite a few at-bats. And he helped bring another championship back to Boston. I would love to see Benintendi in pinstripes. Almost because Red Sox fans loved him. And that would burn them. That would burn them inside. And Benintendi is a guy where it's like, all right, if you look last year, you look at Joey Gallo, his skill set, not sustainable whatsoever. Now, Benintendi's hitting 321 right now. If Benintendi stepped in and hit 265, that's almost 100 points better than Joey Gallo's average. I mean, that's just in itself a massive upgrade.
He checks all my boxes for Yankees acquisition. Lefty, postseason pedigree, somewhat of a veteran, like he's been around.
Do you remember the catch he made in left field against Houston?
Yeah, they would have been in the World Series 3 times in a row if it wasn't for that catch. And he doesn't stink. Those 4 things he covers all 4. It makes so much sense.
And it's
perfect.
Like contract year. It's like you're not going to have to give up. Like I was listening to the Mike Francesa podcast, and some guy was like, "Oh, do you think we're going to have to give up Gleyber Torres for Bennett?" No, you're not going to have to give up. You're not going to have to give up Volpe, Peraza. It's just going to be a couple pitching prospects, I think. And I went on to the handy dandy trade simulator on Baseball Trade Simulator, and I threw in Hayden Wesneski, who's I think our seventh prospect in our organization, and Randy Vasquez, 14th, I believe. And the total value is 13.2. Benintendi's 11.5. And I think that's a deal that we should do, because there are going to be other teams going for Andrew Benintendi. So you're going to have to sweeten the deal up a little bit
for sure.
Trying to, win them over. And, Wesneski, like sub 3.5 in AAA, Vasquez 2.8 ERA in AA. Now Benintendi gives you a chance to win the World Series. I'm not too sure if the Yankees would want to give up Wesneski because of his ridiculous off-speed stuff.
Yeah, all these AAA arms, I feel like they're going to try and hope one sticks. I mean, that's going to be another story of the August dog days with all the Peacock games, even though they won't be on Peacock, but it'll feel like it.
But the thing that Brian Cashman has to realize is we have automatic outs in our everyday starting lineup, and Benintendi has been one of the best left-handed hitters in all of baseball. And it would be logical to extend both Benintendi and Judge in the offseason. But if not, at least we gave ourselves a better chance at winning a World Series. Luke, I mean, anything on Benintendi? Anything more on Benintendi?
All right, like my tier list for acquisitions is it has to be an outfielder. I want Benintendi more than Happ by like a significant margin, even though Happ can play center. Because it really doesn't matter if he can play center. When we get to the playoffs, Judge is playing center.
Here's another thing. Like you just said,
line.
Aaron Judge contract year, I don't care about years after 2022. I'm focused on 2022. We are going to work Aaron Judge like a running back in his contract year. We are going to give him as many carries as it takes to win the games. We're going to put Judge in there and given as many innings in center field. You are our center fielder. You've been given as many innings in center field. You're going to be, by that point, a reliable center fielder. He already is, and he's already probably only played, I guess, maybe 30 games in center field his career. You got to put him in center. If you have Benintendi,
when it comes to playoff time, that's gonna be the outfield, hopefully, and it'll help us grow to appreciate Hicks again.
Yep.
Because in the regular season, you'll see a lot of Hicks in center in games that aren't as competitive. We don't actually have to play Judge in center every game.
Yep.
But when the calendar strikes October, or if it becomes a pennant race late in the year, that guy's our center fielder.
Yep.
So really, I wouldn't take the less pedigree, lesser player in Happ just because he can play center. When it gets to October, Judge is going to play center field. Yeah. So that makes it fit perfectly. And that kind of puts off the conversation of a guy you've talked about a lot, Brian Reynolds. I just think that's not a this year.
It might be a later move. I also think that, hey, maybe the Yankees don't have the same mindset as us because they never do. And they might be also looking into the future as well. See, if you go trade for a guy like Brian Reynolds, yeah, it's going to be a big package, but Brian Reynolds isn't going to make any money for the next 2 to 3 years. And you can sign Aaron Judge to that hefty contract, and you still have another dog next to him in center field. You're going to be paying, Aaron Judge at a huge contract, but it's almost like you're paying 2 for 1 or 1 for 2.
They're not that smart with the money. Like, they try to be. That like actually makes sense. Yeah. I feel like they have something up their sleeve with the money. I don't know what it's going to be. I think honestly, us having a lot coming off the books is kind of relaxing them and just having them go for it. So I just hope they put the best team on the field for this year. Yeah, that's all you can do at this point. Exactly. We have the record, we have the great start, we have the pitching. So now it just comes to making the right moves.
Exactly. And, we swept the Detroit Tigers. I don't want to talk too much about this because I didn't realize how bad the Detroit Tigers were. And they were one of those teams that I thought, and many others thought around the game of baseball, that could potentially get into that top 6 spot or that bottom 3 spot wild card, because they made some moves in the offseason where it was like, okay, they have, Jonathan Scope, Miguel Cabrera, Spencer Torkelson now, Riley Green gets hurt. Jeimer Candelario led the majors in doubles last year. Like, they had a bunch of guys, and now all of a sudden
they may lose 120 games.
Exactly. So they're a terrible baseball team. So we win the first game 13-0. Luke and I were there. And Joey LaManna. Shout out Joey LaManna. We were there. Got there in like the second inning, but it didn't matter because we were just coming in there, hitting home runs. Garrett Cole had a perfect game into the 7th inning. It was just another game. Like, I don't know. Like, it's crazy to think about. You went from Tyone to Garrett Cole to Luis Severino, and all of them had no hitters past the 6th inning, at least no hitters past the 6th inning. That's crazy.
Our bullpen, I mean, we haven't had a high leverage spot other than the 3rd. We had one inning with like Wandy, really. Miguel Castro and Wandy have pitched the only 2 high leverage innings of the Detroit series, and that's 3 games, which is nuts.
Huge. Because
even though Miguel gave it up, he didn't. It was just Cabrera's just
Miguel gave it up to Miguel.
Yeah, it's just, what are you gonna do? But it's like when you're not in stressful situations all the time, you can kind of relax a little bit, and I think it's gonna give us a chance to get some of our guys back.
How about that inning in the 3rd game of the Detroit Tigers series, or maybe the half inning that came after the half inning, where Anthony Rizzo, who does his really wonky defense thing where he has a chance to, knock the ball down. He doesn't, this time it kicks off his glove. It goes in the right field, run scores, doesn't keep it in the infield. Very annoying. And then he comes up the next inning, leading off, hit by pitch, steals 2nd, advances to 3rd on a ball that barely got out of the infield. I don't know how he did that. Slid into 3rd. And then he's on 3rd base. Glaber hits a chopper to 3rd and he slides in safely. He got the run back. In the past, we wouldn't have had that. I mean, that's just what it is. We would have
had 3 guys come up, try to tie the game with a home run, and
they would have all rolled over to the first or third.
Unless it was Rugi, then he would have came through for us.
Maybe. But that was really cool. That's probably one of the cooler moments in the whole series. You had Severino absolutely dice the Tigers. So you had a no-hitter going. Garrett Cole before, and then Montgomery, who had the worst start in a week, and he gave up 2 runs through 6 in a 3rd. I mean, that's crazy. It's just cool to see. And Montgomery, another guy we didn't really talk about at all really this episode, but he's going in there and doing his thing. And Montgomery is what he is, and I'm happy that Montgomery's in the rotation and giving the Yankees a chance to win every 5th day. So yeah, we sweep the Tigers, and the first game we're at the stadium, we're just chowing down some nice grub. I mean, the stadium food has really stepped up.
Low bells, man. Low bells. That's all I gotta say. It's the best.
The best.
It's the best. There's no other way to say. I mean, no, the best.
The best.
Ever. The best. Ever. My dad got sushi. The guy's out of his mind.
It was the 7th inning. I was like, whoa, sushi.
No, it's we're high rolling when we're at the Yankee games these days.
Of course. Even when they give me the sweet sausages instead of the hot, I'm not crying. How about $12 for 9 wings? I mean, yeah, that's not like proportion and like, yeah, that's overpaying, but I'm not overpaying that much. And they were good. New sauce.
No new sauce. Yeah, no, it's been fun at the stadium this year. It really has. Vibes are good. It's everyone just comes. We have a good shot to win. Even
Gotta
though
get my hands on one of those milkshakes though.
Yeah, that's gonna be something I'm never gonna get, but it's fine.
Or the
Even
chicken,
though
yeah.
like 80% of the guys have the name on the back of the jersey, it's okay because it doesn't bother me. If we were losing all the time, I would get furious.
I would want to RKO everybody.
Yeah, but now it's fine. It's like, oh, number 2 with Jeter on it. It's like, didn't know that was Jeter. God, let's just it's
terrible.
Let's hope we don't start losing because I'll flip on that one real quick.
It's like, all right, like if you're gonna spend $100 on a Yankee jersey when you can spend $130 without the name, like come on.
There's somewhere it's all right. Like
if you're under 10 years old,
Rizzo, and I'm like, word, that's fine.
If you're because he's gonna be off the team, and then it's just gonna be like who's 48. Yeah. If you're off the team, or sorry, what am I saying? If you're under 10 years old, or like 11 years old, you can have the name on the jersey. It's fine. It's fine because it's just like you're wearing it. Your friends are gonna see the back. It's a thing. You're wearing the Yankee shirt with the name on the back. It's a
the shirt jersey.
Wear that.
That's timeless.
That'll always wear that. You can always wear that. But if you're gonna be like a 30-year-old guy, and I'm not coming at anybody. If you can't afford the 130, you can't afford the 130. But if you can afford the 100, okay. You're walking around with Jeter on your back. Come on, bro.
If the guy in front of me at Low Bells when the steak sandwich was like $25 and you have the name on your Jeter jersey, it's like, man.
It's like, bro, unless the Jeter jersey was from, under the age of 10 and you're still repping it, which I mean, I commend you for that. There's a lot of, staying fit to wear a jersey from that long ago.
You got to have my growth to do that. It's
sure.
Just not.
Like, that's fine. Like, wear that. Like, that's nostalgic. You've always had the jersey. It's beat up, whatever. But I mean, shout out Joey Gallo. He's wearing a jersey from probably, 10, 12 years ago. No name on the back. That's a true Yankee fan right there. So, we went on with this, the sweep of the Tigers, the food, the jersey
stadium vibes. It felt like they did the wave like 7 times. I hate the wave, but like everybody was just happy. I mean, we were the only 2 kids in the stadium not doing the wave. But that's I guess that's on us.
Unless Hubs was there.
But, what is he?
I said unless Hubs was there.
Yeah, no, he does not like the wave. I'm gonna see if Minnesota announced their pitcher yet.
Good idea.
Because it was listed as probable. Why? Because I know say the other 2.
I know we got Tyone, Nestor. What is it? JMO? Yeah.
And then the second game is Chris Archer, and then the third one's Bundy.
Right, Chris Archer. I'm actually interested to see Chris Archer because he's been pretty good this year, and.
Yeah, that could be one that
the Yankees have had trouble with him when he was on Tampa, but right when Tampa got rid of him, the Yankees had sort of figured him out. So, and he pitched against
the ball, hit another home run. By
Espinal.
Yeah.
Do you remember the game last year where Kluber pitched? I believe it was Kluber versus Chris Archer, and Archer got hurt in that game. Do you remember that?
A little bit.
And he didn't pitch the rest of the year. The Rays got him back.
Oh wow!
So it's gonna be Cortez versus Archer. Bundy versus
Cole.
JMO. Cole?
Mm-hmm. JMO's the first game, and they're just TBD. I think they probably call someone up if they're just waiting.
Cole versus Bundy. They might also pitch Yohan Duran. I don't know if Yohan Duran starts games, but you're gonna see him pitch the series. 103 mile an hour fastball, 96 mile an hour splitter. Gross.
I hope he starts so he's out of the game before the end because we're not hitting.
Because we're not hitting him.
But
last time Dylan Bundy pitched against the Yankees, he was blowing chunks in the Bronx. Then we got Jose Suarez. But I mean, I'm not accepting anything less than two out of 3 against the fraudulent Minnesota Twins. I'm not. I want to see Gary Sanchez strike out 13 times this series.
Gio will get us once.
Gio will get a big hit. He'll get a big hit. I mean,
looking back on it, we were really down on not just getting Correa and keeping Gio.
And then Donaldson's antics, it would have never happened. He would have been elsewhere calling.
I don't really mind. It's more just like better on the field product. Because Donaldson's been the one guy who just like hasn't been good enough.
He's been like the one disappointing guy outside of the guys that we already knew were disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more that. Obviously, that stuff wasn't fun, but it didn't derail us.
No.
It's more just like you gotta get going, man.
Yep.
Now we got guys like Carpenter. Hey,
man, Mario and Luigi,
man.
Nestor and Carpenter.
No one wants to see him batting first or whatever in the or in the playoffs.
No.
Maybe he's just our leadoff hitter.
Maybe, Luke. I don't know. I don't want to get it too ahead of ourselves. He could go 0 for his next 20, and then it's like, all right, can we DFA him now?
Yeah.
So I think this was it was one hell of an episode. I think we talked about a lot, a different format. We were covering every game by game, but there was lots to talk about outside of our success. Sometimes you don't need to talk about the games where you just completely crush the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, unless it's like really good games.
Entertaining.
We'll kind of switch it up a little bit more like this style. I feel like it was easier to get through all the important stuff. Yeah, no, if they just go 6-2 every time, it makes our jobs pretty easy. We don't have a ton to complain about. We just keep doing the Gallo and Hicks thing because that's all we got. And that's going to be probably over. Let's see. What's today's date?
We're going to run out of things to talk about, dude.
We have a month and 25 days until we don't have to talk about probably Gallo. Hicks is probably around. He has a lot. He's like 3 years left. But yeah.
I actually don't think it's on the 31st anymore. It's weird. They rotate it every year. I don't know. It's something new. It is what it is.
I feel like Cashman's not gonna know, and then we're gonna.
Yeah, he's gonna forget. Oh wait, it already happened. All right, well,
like August 3rd.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Social media is in the description. Go follow those. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all there. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.